Well, that is a topic of much interest. Can we upload our mind to the cloud?
I guess in my mind, when I'm picturing my consciousness, it's just sitting here in my brain.
I'm a believer in the consciousness being located pretty much in the back of the head, and in the systems that do the processing. Areas are numbered V1, V2, V3, V4, V5.
So we're made up of cells and all these other things that I can't quite remember like exactly what we're made up of. Like, are my cells part of my consciousness? Is my bones part of my consciousness? Or
there are these people called panpsychists who think that everything is conscious. I myself don't take that too seriously, and I know you'd have to hard trouble finding a neuroscientist who takes that seriously. For one thing, it wouldn't solve any problems, because even if the electrons and protons in our body are conscious, you'd have to explain how putting those things together makes us conscious.
They don't take it seriously because there's proof that it's not, or just like that's way too, like, well, you're taking this way too far.
Look, everything we have discovered about consciousness is based in the brain.
I know, so we have the conscious and the subconscious, but how can things be happening in my brain that I'm not aware of? That's always fascinated me, right? Because, like, I don't know exactly where my hands are, but my brain knows where my hands are, but I'm not thinking about where my hands are. So, like, is that part of my consciousness? Like, how can I be aware of things I'm not conscious about?
Everybody who's an academic has had the experience of posing a question to themselves and then doing something else where they relax executive control, and then the answer done by the guys in the back room just presents itself to us. So there's a lot of reasoning that appears to be going on unconsciously. Many people have described this, and we're all familiar with this happening. You're worried about something, and then you think about something else, and then the answer pops into your head. A lot of people report that happens when they're in the shower.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the shower, you're thinking about, your mind, your mental control is relaxing.
So, like, my brain is consciously processing things that I'm not consciously aware of.
It's unconsciously processing things that you're not consciously aware of.
Then am I missing out on, like, is that a good thing, or am I missing out on so much of the world?
Well, you're missing out on a lot of your reasoning process, but, maybe it works better if you're missing out on it.
Yeah, you can only think about so many things, right?
Yeah, and maybe there are kinds of things that are just better done unconsciously.
Does there seem to be any rhyme or reason for, like, okay, this type of thing is going to be done unconsciously and this type of thing is going to be done consciously?
It looks like certain kinds of pattern reasoning, pattern recognition reasoning is better done unconsciously. Whereas multiple steps that you have to keep in mind, maybe that requires consciousness in humans.
It sounds kind of like the brain needs the boss to leave the room.
Exactly.
What happens when we die?
I think you turn into dirt.
Can we look at a brain and be like, the consciousness is gone?
Well, when there's no neural activity, the consciousness is gone.
It's not something that, like, because the inevitable question is, but could our consciousness somehow continue in another form?
There's no evidence for that at all. It would be nice, but no, I don't think so.
Is it something we could transfer?
Well, that is a topic of much interest. Can we upload our mind to the cloud or transfer it into a more youthful brain, or transfer it into a machine? And, if you think that consciousness depends on the biology of the brain, then transferring your mind to the cloud is going to make your mind unconscious. So that's what I think. I think it's the biology of the brain that's crucial.